special joy in performing devotional service.
Today is the last day or the
No. We have
26th.
we have a lot more to come. And yeah. So before I forget, so I also want to let you know that this Sunday I'll be giving the Sunday feast class at ISKCON Silicon Valley. Hope it might be a little bit more at a conducive time for you, Varshana Mataji. It starts at 3:30. Yeah, 3:30. And then tomorrow, if
Thank you, Mataji.
yeah, tomorrow, if time permits, or not time, but if the situation permits, for me, I'm giving a class at somebody's home tomorrow in Fremont. And if everything goes well, then I might broadcast. But it might be late for you, Varshana Mataji. It might be still okay for others, like about, I think 5:45 or something like that, or 6:30 I'll start. But it will be on my Facebook page being broadcast, just like this. So I will start the Zoom channel also, so that it goes into YouTube also. But just letting you all know. So,
Mataji, Sunday feast class 3:30 of your time.
My time, yeah.
Yes.
It'll be 6:30 your time.
6:30.
Yeah, it won't be broadcast on my Facebook page, though. It'll be.
But they can get the link to the temple.
Yeah. They can go to they do Facebook. You can also look at Bhagavad-gita classes where it is broadcast. There are many URLs. I'll share the URL. But we'll have to share the ISKCON Silicon Valley Facebook page, right, with the team here to see. But yeah, we'll just see how that goes. But all right, so let's first get started here with a thanks to all of you for sparing time on a weekend and coming to this class here. Thank you also for those of you who are joining us on Facebook and as well as on YouTube. My Dandavat pranams to you. So we'll get started with this with a brief prayer to the spiritual master. And here we go. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnana-anjana-shalakaya Chakshurun-militam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padkamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagada Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagada Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Premanande Hare Hare. Welcome, dear devotees, to our Friday class. And so, like I said earlier, that we're going to have a little bit of a variety. And I know some of you, and most of you actually, would have done the 7th chapter of Bhagavad-gita reading already. And the beauty of Kartik is that whatever little that you do in Kartik, for example, there's a tulsi plant over there, and you just happen to pass by it, and you go there to pick up something, and in that process, you just do a semicircle of the tulsi, and then Tulsi Maharani considers that, and it is considered that as you have done a parikrama of tulsi. So even a very little amount of work that you do in Kartik, and we know the nice story of a rat who was very, very hungry on a Kartik, and he was in a temple, and he goes there to the temple, and he's jumping on the altar up and down there. And as he's jumping, there's a ghee wick which is just about to die, a ghee lamp that's just about to die because the flame has, exhausted. And in the process of his jumping, he falls on that lamp, and he pushes the wick a little further, and the light starts again. And Vishnu considers that to be offering a lamp. So that is the kind of magnanimity that is happening in Kartik.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare Krishna. So even a very little amount, Dandavat Pranam, Swatiji. Yes, even a very little amount of work or devotional service that you do, right? And of devotional service, we already know, Neha vikramo nastosi pratyavayona vidyate. Sualpam. So it says that even if you do a very little amount of work in devotional service, it gets counted and never gets exhausted. Like in material world, things do get exhausted and they get consumed, right? For example, our funds can get exhausted. You've got money in your bank, you start consuming it, it'll finish one day, right? And then of course, or if we collect a lot of amount of money in a bank and keep it in the bank, then at the time of death, it's all gone. You cannot take it with you. There's nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
So, then, the only thing that you can take with you after we die are all these religious and transcendental activities that the sukriti that we gather as part of that. So, so Kartik, so I was just saying that Kartik, even if you have done the chapter of Bhagavad-gita once, this is amazing. You would do it twice, then you can imagine, it won't be just twice, it'll be many, many more times. It's like as if it's a sale, you buy one, get one free, buy one, get three free, buy one, get 1 million free. Any little amount of work you do, any donations that you have planned to do, if you do it during the month of Kartik, the effect is many, 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 many fold there during that month. So let us get started with chapter 7 of Bhagavad-gita, which is the recommended chapter that we are doing as part of chapter a day of Bhagavad-gita, reading one chapter every day. And okay. So Lakshmi Mataji, are you asking for something there on a chat? Is there a question? Okay, and let me bring up chapter 7.
Mataji, I was mentioning that for tomorrow temple's function, maybe we can share the YouTube link.
For tomorrow's function, actually, I'm coming to Fremont tomorrow.
Oh, okay. The Sunday one.
Sunday one? Oh. Sunday's
yeah.
the same temple one,
Yeah, that's available in YouTube, yeah.
Yes. I'll send both the YouTube as well as Facebook for the temple. I'll send it to you all. Yeah, on our chat. I'll send that. Yeah. Okay, so let's see how we get going here. Chapter.
Starting from the beginning?
Where do you want us to start, Mataji?
I'm asking, Mataji.
No, I'm giving you a choice. You can say, if you say read it backwards, we'll read it backwards. You are a chief guest.
I had very bad flu, Mataji. God.
Oh boy. Okay.
I took one hand flu shot, one hand COVID shot.
Why
don't know, they are
why
giving
were you
COVID
so
shot.
You should never do that. You should never mix your drinks.
Oh God, I had hell.
They say never mix your drinks, never mix your vaccinations.
Both the shoulders are hurting.
Okay, so you just sit back, relax, and listen. Okay, we won't put pressure on you today because you are.
No, I don't.
Well,
I'm missing the classes. I don't know why.
We didn't have any class, don't worry.
Last Friday, yes.
That's fine. It's recorded. You'll catch up. You already know what I'm speaking. You don't miss much. Okay, I know you come here only for devotional association.
You're going to
already know.
You're going to the Yatra, Mataji? Parikram?
After the class, we'll talk about it, right? We are broadcasting.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, yeah, we are on Facebook.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. Okay, so we will read the text here for this, and
got it.
I'm going to remove synonyms.
Knowledge of the absolute.
Okay. So let's all do this together, sing this together in a very slow pace. We'll go here slowly, okay? And so on the count of 3, I'll just get started and you can join me like 2 microseconds later so that you'll be in rhythm. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan
Uvacha.
Together, do say that together with me, right? Shri
Shri
Bhagavan
Bhagavan Uvacha.
Maya Saktamana Yogam
Yogam Yunjam
Asamshayam
Samagrama
Yatha Jnanam Teham Idam
Idam
After every sentence, we will pause to allow others to finish because everybody's not reading at the same pace, right? And then you get started 1 microsecond after you hear my voice, right? And that way we'll all be in the rhythm. So try to be in the rhythm. If somebody's going slow, we also go slow with them, right? That's the beauty of Sankirtan. Sankirtan is, Sang means together. So you're trying to do these things together. You've seen how swans, they fly in the sky, right? When they are transmigrating from Canada to South America, right? So it's a long distance journey. And there are swans of all different shapes and sizes and age groups, right? Some are young, some are old. They can't catch up with the whole thing. So they have a very, very special rhythm of how they go. And, you know, who's on the outside, who's in the inside. If one swan gets left behind, they don't leave behind the swan, you know. They will, you know, slow down, let them to catch up. So that's the idea, right? So can we start again from the beginning? With this in mind, okay? On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Saktamana Yogam Yugmadashaya Asamshayam Samagram Yatha Jnanam Teham
Vijnanam
Nilam Vakshyami Sheshaha Yajñātmani Bhūyunya Jnātavayam Manushyanam Kaśyit yatati siddhaye Yatatam Kaścin Mumira Kammano Buddhirevacha Ahankara Inna Prakritirashtata Apareyam Tasmanyam Prakritim Vidhi Param Jiva Bhuta Mahabaho Yayedam Etad Sarvani Bhutaya Aham Kṛṣṇasya Jagataha Prabhavaha Pralyastata Matta Parataram Mai Sarvam Sutre
Sutre
mani rasoham prabhasmi Okay, don't start the next line till I start it, otherwise you lose the rhythm. Punyo gandaha prithivyacha tejashchasmi jivanam sarvabhuteshu tapasvishu. Yeah, in the end, don't extend it long, right? You don't have to say tapasvishu. You don't have to do that. Tapasjashmi, tapasvishu. Like that. That's the tune, right? Bijam, come on. Vidhi
Sanatanam
buddhir
Tejasvinamaham
balam balvatam chaham
Kamaragvarjitam
dharma
Varadharasa
ye chaiva
Rajasastamasaschaye jagat
Mohitam
paramavyayam
Daivihi
Maya Maya Prapadyate Maya Tarantite
Namam duskritam prapadyante
Maya Asura Bhavam Ashritaha
Yaturvidha
Jante
Jana
Sukrito Partho Jnani Charsabha Jnani Yukta Ekabhaktir Vivishyate
Yohi
Jnani
Aham
Aham Samādhiya
Daraha
Sarva eva yate
Yani
Jnani Matam Atma
Bahunam
Janmanamante Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samāhitaḥ
Kameste
Devataha
tam
Niyamam asthaya
akritya niyatah
tasya jana
Satya
tata kaman
Mayeva
Mayevavitani
Antavattu
palam tesham tadbhavati yadvedasham
Avyaktam
avyaktim apanam imam abudaya param bhavam ajananto
Wait. This practice is to practice Bhagavad-gita and also a practice to hear. So it is all about hearing. So what were my instructions? Did you hear my
start
instructions?
by microsecond after you.
And are you starting? How many microseconds before you are you starting? Before me are you starting? Right? Listen. And this is about devotee association and listening to other devotees also. If there are some devotees who are going slow, you wait. What's the big deal? Right? You have done your line, you wait, you hear, and then you wait and hear for the next line being started, and then you join. You won't do, nothing's going to happen. You're all going to be here, right? It's only 30 verses. Okay. So now we'll do 24 again. Okay. Count of 1, 2, and 3.
Manyante mam abuddhayaha
Param
jananto
Mam avyayam anuttamam Naham prakasha
sarvasya
yogamaya
yogamadhyatamadvritaha
mudhoyam
doyam na vijanati
loko
ajam avyayam
vedaham samiti
vartmanani charjuna
havishyani
vishyani cha bhutani
mantu
vedana kaschana
ichchadvesha
Bharata Bhutani sammoham
sargeyanti
yanti paramātmā
yesham tvam anagatam jananam
karmyanam Dvandva mohanimukta
bhajante Jaramarana Mamashrityayatati Te Brahma Adhyatmam Last verse now. Sadhibhutadi
Prayanakale Devi
Om Tatsat iti Srimad-Bhagavad-gita-su Brahma-vidyayam Yoga-shastre Krishna-Arjuna-samvade Jnana-vijnana-yoga Saptamo Adhyaya Om Tatsat. Okay, so we have done one chapter of Bhagavad Gita, maybe once or maybe twice for some of you. Okay, so we got that squared away. Now we're going to go and do our favorite, which is from nityasankirtan.com. And which one are we going to do?
Vignapa Panchakti.
There, you know, that's all y'all's favorite, huh? Let's hope that it brings up Vyapti Chanchaka for me. The website itself is not coming up. Okay, now it's a little bit slow. Do we remember anything from Vidyapti Panchaka? We did that 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
You all had memorized it. This is what happens. Easy come, easy go. It's easy come,
We
easy
memorized it, Mataji.
Right? Yeah, we had memorized it. She was there with us. Right?
Memorized it and it's gone.
No,
Yeah,
I remember.
You remember
You
that?
remember?
Yes, go for it then. Why don't you? Yeah, it's not coming up. Go for it.
No, not me alone.
Oh,
Who else knows it? Sutapa, you know it?
I know, Mataji. Now I am trying to remember. It's not coming back.
It's easy. Okay.
Okay, I'll bring it up here. Yeah.
Some of the lines, yes.
Prayers, right? And Vigyapti Panchaka. Do we have Vigyapti Panchaka?
Vigyapti Panchaka, God. Where did I put?
Okay. All right. You want it bigger? Is it
We
good?
can't see it.
You can't see it?
I cannot see it, Mataji.
Just check, Mataji. Let me stop. Okay, let me stop sharing. I'll share again. Maybe for some of you, it might not show up. Okay, can you see it now?
Yeah,
Yes,
now.
Mataji.
Now we can see.
Okay. Vigyapti Panchaka, and what does this Vigyapti, these 5 verses, what they do? They open your mind to Radha and Krishna. And that's very, very important that our mind has to be open to allow anybody to pour anything into it, right? Like if you have a water bottle and you want to put water into it, the first thing you have to do is to open the lid. If you don't open the lid, then nothing can go in. So we have to be with open minds when we go and pray to Krishna and see how they are opening our mind and sharing everything which is there with Krishna. Now there's nothing that is, there's no curtain between you and Krishna. So now the curtain has dropped, so then communication will flow in both the direction. So the first thing that we are doing is we are dropping the curtain and exposing ourselves to Krishna and telling Krishna the reality about ourselves, right? So let's do one verse each. And since our Sukumaladhi Mataji knows, so if you could do this one that I'm highlighting here.
Okay. Matsamo nashti papatma naparadhi cha kaschana parihare pi lajjame kimbruve purushottama.
Very nice. And Sutapa?
Yuhutinam yatha yoni yonam chaivato yatha mano viramate tadvan mano me ramatam tuve.
Okay, who else wants to read? Knows this verse? Otherwise, we can go round robin. Who's
I
that?
don't remember, but I can recite, Mataji.
Okay, read.
Bhumo sakilata padanam bhumireva valambanam tavai jata paradhanam tvam eva sharanam prabhu.
Okay, somebody else had said, I heard another voice.
Govinda Vallabhe Radhe Pradhaye Tvam Aham Sada Twadiyam iti jnateshu jnato Govinda Mam Tvaya Saha. Govindo mam svattvaisaha.
Who else wants to read? Who else didn't get a chance to read yet?
I can read Mataji.
Okay, go ahead.
Radhe Vrindavane se Karunamrita Vahini Karapaya Nijapadavaja Dasammahayam Paridayatam.
Okay. Now, who else is left? Who else didn't get a chance to read? Okay, go for it. Madhav Sangini, why didn't you read the English for us now that we have done the Sanskrit?
Okay. O Purushottama, no sinner or offender is bad as I am. How can I describe my shame? Just as the minds of young ladies take pleasures in a young man, and the minds of young men take pleasure in a young woman, kindly let my mind take pleasure in you alone.
Very nice. Who else didn't read? Who else wants to read? Didn't get a chance to read? Go ahead.
Just as the ground is the only support for those whose feet have slipped, you alone are the only shelter for those who have offended you.
Nice.
Can I read, Mataji?
Yes, go ahead.
O Srimati Radharani, beloved of Lord Govinda, this is my request. May you and Lord Govinda consider me one of your assistants. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
May I read, Mataji?
Yes, yes.
O Srimati Radharani, O Queen of Vrindavan, you are a river flowing with the nectar of mercy. Please be kind to me and give me a little service at your lotus feet.
Yeah. So these are very, very beautiful, beautiful verses, and they're talking about opening your mind, right? To Krishna and Radha. So you're opening your mind and your heart. And so the first thing is that we have to acknowledge that we are offenders, right? Most of the times it's like, God is the offender. Why is he doing this to me? He's the one who's doing all this. I never did anything, right? So the first step towards devotional service is to understand that I am the offender and not Krishna, right? And once before we can declare to Krishna that I am an offender in the true sense of the word, we first have to acknowledge it within our heart that we are offenders, right? And after we recognize that we are offenders, we also have to feel bad about it. It's not that, haan kara, who cares? Yeah, kar liya bolo, right? Not like that. So we have to also understand I have done a sin and I should really repent and feel bad about the sin. And that's why he says, how can I describe my shame? Right? Just as the minds of young, and then so he's saying that, okay, now that he knows, now he wants to get attracted towards Krishna. He wants to focus his mind on Krishna. So it's all about mind, right? And it's such a wonderful example that they're going that minds of young ladies take pleasure in a young man and minds of young men take pleasure in a young woman, right? Now, this is something that nobody has to teach, right? Nobody has to go and teach like, hey, my son, get attracted to a woman, or to teach the daughter, or get attracted to a man. It comes naturally, right? It comes naturally. So here he's saying that the intensity, it comes naturally. So that's one thing. And then the intensity, right? Intensity. You tell a girl not to get married to the boy she will jump over the wall and run away, right? So the intensity with which that love is there. So it's giving such a strong example of something we see in our lives day in and day out. And so he's saying that just as the minds of young men and the minds of young women get attracted towards each other, that kind of a very strong attachment is what I am looking for. That may I get that kind of a strong attachment. So we can just imagine how that would be if a person gets attracted to Krishna like that all the time. Like young girls, they think about boys, right? Now you walk on the road, you walk on the streets and you see a bunch of, 8th graders, 9th graders, 5, 6 girls, they're talking and they'll be like, so many times they'll be like, oh my, you hear the word like all the time. Like it was like this, it was like this. And then another word that you hear all the time was he. He said, he was like that. He was said to me, he said that, he was walking, he's so bad, he's so rude, he's a he, right? So like that, he. So that is the intensity with which they are, constantly focusing on boys. And similarly with the boys, right? So the prayer is that intensity. So you can just imagine that you think about Kṛṣṇa with that intensity, right? When people fall in love, and of course, our religion is about the ultimate love. That is when you fall in love with God. That's what we aim for, especially in the Gauda Sampradaya, Brahma Sampradaya. That's what our aim is to achieve. Now, we don't know whether we're going to achieve it or not, or when, but that's fine. But that's what we aim for, ultimate love of God. And well, why don't you take example from lovers then, how they love each other and try to do the same thing. So what do lovers do? Right? Lovers will run away if there is opposition. Though chup ke milenge, right? They will hide and meet. And that's what some people do. When there is opposition in the home and they're not allowed to go to the temple, they will come make some excuse and say, I'm going there. And then ultimately they end up in the temple, right? Like that. Or I'm going for, I know one of my godbrother, he told his parents that it was summer vacation. And he said that I won't take name on the Facebook. I'm going for apprentice work. You know how people do apprentice work during summers when they are in their engineering. And so I'm going to a factory and I'll be doing apprentice work there for 2 months. The parents said, okay, fine, here's the money, go. And this guy lands up in a temple ashram and stays there for 2 months. So that's what people do. This is love of God. You run away, you find all kinds of excuses. Because this verse is saying that, I am so bad. I am so bad. And, matsamo nasti papātmā. There's nobody more sinful than I am. And to come to that conclusion that I'm so sinful. And we will know, because we all know our minds. Other people might not hear our minds, but we know our minds. We know ourselves very well. What goes on in our mind, we know it that very well. So it's just a matter of realizing it and accepting it in front of Kṛṣṇa and saying that, okay, Kṛṣṇa, there's nobody who's much more sinful than I am, right? But on the other hand, we're also realizing and acknowledging the merciful nature of Kṛṣṇa. The merciful nature of Kṛṣṇa is that, even if I'm the most fallen soul, that Kṛṣṇa will have mercy on me. And so we are saying, we're begging and we're praying that, let my mind be attracted to you as minds of young men and young women get attracted to each other, right? And the second verse is even more beautiful, and it's a very, very powerful verse in this Vikyapti Panchaka, and where it is saying that Bhumau skalita padanam bhunirevavalambanam tvai jata paradhanam tvameva sharanam prabhu. So he says, just as the ground is the only support for those whose feet have slipped, you alone are the only shelter of those who have offended you, right? So it's such a powerful statement that you are there, you did something wrong, and with a bang and a thud, you fall on the earth. And you are hurting Mother, right? If you do things like that, if you kick, you stomp and do things like that, then you're hurting Mother Earth. So you fall down with a bump, so you hurt Mother Earth. But then I've fallen down, and who else can come and support me? Mother Earth only. When I fall down, I have no other thing to support. So similarly, he's saying, I've offended you, Kṛṣṇa. I've done bad things to you. But then you are the only one who can save me. See, in material world, sometimes it's like, okay, son goes and does something bad. He gets drunk and drives the car over people. They're hurt and they're injured. But son of a very wealthy father. So father comes and then, takes care of it. He gives bribe to the judge and, gets the best lawyers or whatever he does. And the son is saved, right? The material life, it can happen to a certain extent. But here in the spiritual life, what they're saying is that I have offended you. And you are the only one who's going to, take care of me. So I've just come back again to you to say that, Kṛṣṇa, please take care of me. So bhuma skalita padanam bhumireva valambanam, right? Tvai jata paradhanam tameva sharanam. And then here it's saying, going further, Govinda vallabhe radhe prarthare tvam aham sada twadiyam iti janatu Govinda mam tvaya saha. So consider me as one of your personal assistants, right? So this is a good way, because after you offend, then it is good to do a little bit of seva. You know? I remember when I was 10 years old, I had a friend who used to live close by, and so she came in the morning, like late morning, and wanted me to come to her home and said, let's play. So my mom said, okay. I said, can I go to her room? And my mom said, yeah, you can go. And so I went there, but my mom said, come back for lunch. I said, yes. So I went back, ran off. She was like 5-minute walk away from my home. I went, and then we were playing. And then there was lunchtime. So her mom had made some lunch, and she said, why didn't you eat? So I said, yes, I'll eat. So I had the lunch, and then after lunch, I played some more. And then finally, I remembered I had to go home. So I went home. And then, of course, my family used to go for a sleep in the afternoon. So I climbed into the house quietly. My mom was sleeping. I knew that I was in serious trouble. And so there were dishes, left from the lunch. Dirty dishes were left from the lunch. So I just went quietly. There was a hand pump. I brought some water. I cleaned all the dishes, all of them. I was 10 years old. Cleaned all of them and kept them, so that my mom, when she woke up, and she saw that I had done all that. She didn't scold me that much. So that's what, this prayer is also saying that, oh, matsamo nasti papātmā. I'm so bad, I've told you I'm bad. And I've also told you, you're the only one who can do anything for me. So let me now go and do your dirty dishes. Let me go. Consider me as your personal servant, So that's the mood in which this prayer is going on, right? So Govinda, Vrindavanadhishe Karuna, Govinda Vallabhe Radhe. So you talk that? Radhe Vrindavanadhishe Karuna Mritavahini Kripaya Nija Padabhya Dasyamayam Pradiyatam. Right? So then he's saying, please be kind to me and give me a little service at your lotus feet. Okay. So this is going even beyond what I had done for my mom, in the sense that I had taken the service on myself, right? And said, I'm going to do it. And that course I took. But here this is saying that begging for service. Also to understand that service does not come on its own. If we get and do any service in the temple, anywhere that we get to do it, it happens only because of Krishna's mercy. That thing we have to remember. And whenever there is service with us, if we take that service as a gratitude, if we take that service as a connection to Krishna, that this is Kṛṣṇa directly telling you, okay, hey, you come and do this, right? When we were studying in school, if the teacher called one of us and said, okay, who's going to clean the blackboard? And said, okay, hey, Varshana, you come and clean the blackboard. We would go walk up like that. Oh, I'm feeling very nice. Like when teacher asked me to do this, right? So when we are the chosen few that Krishna has chosen to do and give us this opportunity to do this, right? So we are acknowledging that, our mind is completely messed up. We are acknowledging that we have done bad things. We read 7th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, right? And so now let's go and look at our Bhagavad-gita verse for today, which is 6.7. All right, 500. Okay. So let's see. Let me open 6.7 and see how do we get that going. I have chapter 7 already open, but I need 6.7, not 7, not 6. Bhagavad-gita 6.7. So what have we been talking about all these days in chapter 6 of Bhagavad-gita?
Ashtanga Yoga.
Ashtanga Yoga, correct. Yes. And what are the 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga? Eight limbs. Come on. You don't have to look at your notes. You know it.
Yama, Niyama.
Yes.
Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samādhi.
Samādhi, right? Yes. Okay. And then what else? Give me some keywords that you remember from all that we have talking about. Yeah. So Ashtanga Yoga.
Rudha, Ruksha, and Yoga.
Aruruksha. Yoga Rudha. Yeah.
Yoga Rudha.
Yeah. So one which is a neophyte and then one who's an advanced, right? Okay. What was also that we heard about friends and enemies?
Yeah,
But
the mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy.
Friend and your enemy.
It can be your
If
best
you
enemy.
cannot control it.
If you cannot control it. Okay. Well, very well. Then let's go and look at what we are going to do here. So we read from last time, Bandhuratmanastasya yenatmevatmana jitaha anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmeva shatruvat. Which meant, for him who has conquered his mind, the mind is the best of friends. For one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Okay, so it's all about conquering the mind. Now today's verse, let's see. Jita-ātmanaḥ praśāntasya Paramātmā samāhitaḥ śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkheṣu tathā mānāpamānayoḥ. Jita-ātmanaḥ praśāntasya Paramātmā samāhitaḥ śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkheṣu tathā mānāpamānayoḥ. Now I want all of you to recite this one at a time. Okay? So we'll start with Sukomal Radhe Mataji. She will recite, and then Sukomal Radhe Mataji, you take the name of the next person. Okay? Then the next person will recite, and they'll take the name of the next person.
Okay.
All right. So go ahead.
Jita-ātmanaḥ praśāntasya Paramātmā samāhitaḥ śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkheṣu tathā mānāpamānayoḥ.
Yeah. Tathā māna. Yeah. Tathā mānāpamānayoḥ. Right? śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkheṣu. Śīt, uṣṇa. Śīt is cold, uṣṇa is heat. Jita-ātmanaḥ praśāntasya Paramātmā samāhitaḥ śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkheṣu tathā mānāpamānayoḥ. Right? To go with the mix flow. Okay. Who's next? You have to
Sutapa Mataji.
Okay. Sutapa, you have to unmute yourself.
Yes, Mataji, I'm trying. Jita-ātmanaḥ praśāntasya Paramātmā samāhitaḥ śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkheṣu tathā mānāpamānayoḥ. Vindavali Mataji.
Is she on mute? Okay, pass it to somebody else. We'll come back to her again.
Madhav Sangini Mataji.
Jita-ātmanaḥ praśāntasya Paramātmā samāhitaḥ śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkheṣu tathā mānāpamānayoḥ.
Man and apman. You know man and apman, right?
Oh yeah.
Man, apaman.
Mānāpamānayoḥ.
Yeah. Tathā mānāpamānayoḥ.
Tathā mānāpamānayoḥ.
Everybody say tathā mānāpamānayoḥ.
Tathā mānāpamānayoḥ.
Okay.
Now who are you going to tag, Mataji?
Varshana Mataji.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Jita-ātmanaḥ praśāntasya Paramātmā samāhitaḥ śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkheṣu tathā mānāpamānayoḥ.
Right. So when you are breaking a word like sheet plus uṣṇa, right? Is śītoṣṇa. So either you say sheet, uṣṇa, right? If you're combining, then it will be śītoṣṇa. It cannot be śīto uṣṇa, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So śītoṣṇa-sukha. Just read as Prabhupada has written it, right? So just go by that. Okay. Who are you going to tag?
Mataji, I can't see who else is there.
Okay. On the participants, you cannot see. So Sukomal Radhe Mataji read, Varshana read. Simi Mataji, did you read? You reread.
No, Simi Mataji.
You go.
one second. jita-ātmanaḥ
praśāntasya
praśāntasya Paramātmā samāhitaḥ śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkheṣu tathā mānāpamānayoḥ.
Very nice. Okay, and then Varshana Mataji said, Sukumal Radhi read. Did Vindhyavali Mataji get a chance? Okay, she be called out.
No.
Vindhyavali Mataji, are you there?
Stopped halfway.
Mataji?
I don't know why.
Okay, why didn't you recite this verse, please?
Jita-ātmanaḥ praśāntasya Paramātmā samāhitaḥ śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkheṣu tathā mānāpamānayoḥ.
Yoho. Okay. Then Sukumal Radhi. Lakshmi Mataji, are you in a position to read?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, go ahead.
jita-ātmanaḥ praśāntasya parama-ātmā samāhitaḥ śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkheṣu tathā mānāpamānayoḥ.
Okay, very nice. Now let's look at the synonyms. Jita-ātmanaḥ, one who has conquered his mind. Jit and Atmana. And we said that Atma can mean many things, right? The soul, the body, the mind, the Supersoul, so on and so forth, right? So here jita-ātmana means one who has conquered the mind. Praśāntasya, we know we have people by the name Prashant, right? So it's the same thing, Prashant, one who has attained tranquility by such control over the mind. After you conquer the mind, you become Prashant, because which is tranquility. Opposite of that is being agitated, and all the agitations come from the mind. Paramātmā, the Supersoul. Samāhitaḥ, approached completely. Śīta, in cold. uṣṇa, in heat. Sukha, happiness. duḥkheṣu, and distress. Tathā, also. Māna, in honor. apamānayoḥ, and dishonor. The translation: for one who has conquered the mind, Supersoul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Actually, every living entity is intended to abide by the dictation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated in everyone's heart as Paramātmā. When the mind is misled by the external illusory energy, one becomes entangled in material activities. Therefore, as soon as one's mind is controlled through one of the yoga systems, one should be considered to have already reached the destination. One has to abide by superior dictation. When one's mind is fixed on the superior nature, he has no alternative but to follow the dictation of the Supreme. The mind must admit some superior dictation and follow it. The effect of controlling the mind is that one automatically follows the dictation of the Paramātmā, the Supersoul. Because this transcendental position is at once achieved by one who is in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, the devotee of the Lord is unaffected by the dualities of material existence, namely distress and happiness, heat and cold, etc. This state is practical samādhi, or absorption in the Supreme. Hari Om. That's it. What did you hear so far? Any words that stuck in your mind?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Once you attain the tranquility, then happiness, distress, heat, cold, honor and dishonor, they are same. I mean, the person remains equal in those conditions.
Nice. And is it a condition easy to achieve?
Not at all.
Not at all, right? So it requires practice, right? So I'm going to bring up the purport again here. When the mind is misled by the external illusory energy, one becomes entangled in material activities, right? And in chapter 7, did we read something about Maya in chapter 7? We have been reading it every day.
Yes, okay. Daihesh gunamayi mamaya durapya maneva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite.
Right? A very simple formula he has given you for controlling your mind. So what he's saying here, this divine energy of mind consisting of the three modes of material nature is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So surrendering is very, very important. And later on in Bhagavad-gita, I think it is 1857, if I remember correctly, it's a very nice two set of verses which are there, 57, 58, very likely. And it's a very nice verse to always keep in mind. Chetasa sarva karmani mai sanyasya matparaha buddhi yogam upashritya mat chitta satatam bhava. So it is saying that in all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. So this is Prabhupada says, Kṛṣṇa conscious, like being Kṛṣṇa conscious in every dealing that you do in your day-to-day life. You should always be touching base to see, is it something that Kṛṣṇa will approve? Is it something that Kṛṣṇa will like me doing? Is it according to the scriptures that Kṛṣṇa has given, and so on and so forth, right? And then the 58 is, if you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. Mat chitta sarva durgani mat prasadat tarishyati. As my mercy, durg means all the difficulties that come. Mat prasadat tarishyasi, they will go away. Atha chetam ahamkaram, but if you through your ahankar, false ego, na shosyasi vivangshati, you will be lost. Okay, so if we go back to today's verse, what is Prabhupada telling us in the purports over here? Actually, every living entity is intended to abide by the dictation of the personality of Godhead, right? But who dictates us all the time?
Mind.
The mind.
Right? And give me some examples of how your mind dictates you.
Anything you look at it, you get attracted towards it to get it.
And is that all?
And then you say you work very hard. Then when it is not fulfilled, then the krodha comes and the illusion. You see, everything joins together and kills us.
Okay, so you are doing at least you're taking the good path. You liked something, you had a desire to acquire it, right? And then you worked hard. So you had parama-ātmā, you did parishram, you had fena, all that kind of stuff happened, right? Let me bring up a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. It's in the 5th canto, where Shraddha-devi is training his giving teachings to his friend. And it's so important to keep in mind that if a person has got a father who is a devotee, you can imagine his life.
Makes a lot of difference.
Right? If a child has got a father who is not a devotee, then imagine, how difficult the life becomes. Can you give me an example of a child whose father was not a devotee?
Prahlad Maharaj.
Correct, for 500 points, yeah. Right? So it's a very, very important thing to do. That here they're saying is that it's a mind, and there's maya. Mama maya duratyaya. He's saying it's very difficult to conquer this maya. Right? So let's see what Rishabh-dev Prabhu has to say to his sons. Nunam pramattaha kurute vikarma yat indriya pritaya aprinoti nasadu manye jitātmanoyam asannapi kleshadasadeha. When a person considered sense gratification to be the aim of life, he certainly becomes mad after materialistic living and engages in all kinds of sinful activity. He does not know that due to his past misdeeds, he has already received a body which, though temporary, is the cause of his misery. Actually, the living entity should not have taken on a material body, but he has been awarded the material body for sense gratification. Therefore, I think it not befitting an intelligent man to involve himself again in the activities of sense gratification, by which he perpetually gets material bodies, one after the other. Right? So focus on Kṛṣṇa and surrender into Kṛṣṇa. And so where were we talking about? Surrendering into Kṛṣṇa, telling Kṛṣṇa everything about us.
Vigyapti Panchaka.
Vidyapti Panchaka.
The Vigyapti Panchaka prayers, right? So although we do these prayers, as a rote, I recite this, I recite that, I recite this, but all these prayers are loudly speaking to us to do certain thing and to have faith in God, right? So just surrender into Kṛṣṇa, have faith in God. And there's this interesting, interesting story that is, told, which was that there was a king, and the king had a very faithful minister. And the two ministers would advise, and the king would follow, and they would have long discussions. Now, whenever anything used to happen, the minister always used to say, he was a surrendered soul. He always used to say, okay, whatever God does for the best, for our best. So he was such a surrendered. So it takes a lot of effort to say that, because a lot of times wrong things happen to us. And what we do is, when good things are happening, it's like, ahankara vimūಢātmā kartāham viti manyate. I am the doer. I did it. I'm so smart, right? And when things go wrong, it's like, why is God doing it for me? Right? So wrong things God does and good things I do. That's the equation that we follow. But this man is a surrendered soul. Even when bad things are happening, to see that underlying hand of love. Just as a child might think, like, why did my mom beat me? Well, she did it for you, your benefit. So anyway, this man used to say that, it happened for the good. So one day they were going, and, how, as these kings go, the kings have to go to the battlefield, right? That's what the kings do. They administer the kingdom, they protect the kingdom. So they have to go to the battlefield. And the kings of those times were not like the kings of today or even the army leaders of today. Army leaders are in the camp or sitting in their office, and they are strategizing how the plane should move, how you should attack the enemy, and so on and so forth. They are not sitting on that plane with a bomb and doing it, right? Somebody else goes and does it, right? But in the olden age, it was not like that. The Senapati and the king, they would be the first ones to start fighting. And if they died, they died. And that's what Kṛṣṇa is telling Arjuna in chapter 2 of Bhagavad-gita, which we are reading on Sundays, that, happy are the Kshatriyas for whom such opportunities arise, because it opens the door to heaven, right? So the kings have to go and fight. So if you have to fight, then you have to be fit, and you should be having that instinct to kill and practice to kill. So what they used to do is, they used to go to the jungle, and then they would do hunting of wild animals. And it served two purposes. One was the wild animals, the king got the practice, so that when the war comes, he doesn't, chicken out with the sight of blood. And the second was that, these wild animals are going to attack the people who are there, sannyasis who are there, who have left everything and now are in the forest, and they are engaged in devotional service to the Lord. So it was a win-win situation. The king would do this thing, right? So as they were getting ready, they were in the in the palace, and they were getting ready, and something happened, and the king's, this little finger got chopped off, and this much portion, got cut and fell. And so the king was like, oh, it's one thing to kill animals, another thing to have your limb severed from your body. So the king was a little upset at that fact that, something had gotten cut, and he was upset. And the minister says, whatever happens, Kṛṣṇa does for our good. So the king gets very, very angry. It's like, my finger has cut, and what nonsense are you talking about? So he says, throw him into a dungeon. So he goes and he's thrown into the darkest, the dampest, dungeon, and he's there, right? And then the king, forgets about the minister, starts leading his own life, and goes out on a hunt another time. And when he goes to the forest, somehow, like you see a wild boar, and you're on a horse, and you start following the wild boars, and then other people are left behind, right? How when we were reciting the verses today, some of you were running very fast, and some of others were being left behind, right? So when you are running fast, you go ahead, right? So he went ahead, and he lost his way. And behold, in the middle of the jungle, there were some, Kali worshippers. And the Kali worshippers were, all dancing, and, they had, they were preparing to do human sacrifice. But they were looking for a human to find. And in walks the king, and they're like, oh, my lucky day. Our Bhoga has come, walking on 2 feet. So they catch hold of the king, and they are, they are playing, and, everything reaches a crescendo. And then, they bring him to the place where they're going to chop off his head. And then suddenly somebody, notices that his finger is cut. And they're like, oh no, this Bhoga is incomplete. This human being doesn't have a complete body. He doesn't have the part of his finger. So they said, we can't offer such a person in sacrifice to the Lord, to Goddess Kali. And so they say, okay, rejected, they let him go. And then the realization dawns on the king. And he says that, oh my goodness, now I know the minister, what he meant when he said that, oh, whatever Kṛṣṇa does for us, he does it for our good. So he rushes back to the palace, and then he orders, he said, like, oh, that minister who has been lying in the dungeon for so many months, bring him out. And so he brings him out, and then king then, tells him the story. And then he said, well, now I realize that, why my finger was cut, it was done by God to save me from possible death, right, in the future. And then, so then he apologizes, and he says that, I'm so sorry that I put you in the dungeon. And then the minister said, well, whatever happens, whatever Kṛṣṇa does for the good. And he was like, okay, I can understand the story of the finger being cut and things like that. But what I can't understand is that what was the good of me throwing you into the dungeon and you staying there for 6 months like that? Then the minister said, okay, king, now imagine if you had not put in the dungeon, then when the day you went on the hunt, I would have been with you. And I had the full finger.
Oh.
So whatever Kṛṣṇa does, he does for us, right? So don't get into the workings of the mind that keeps on telling you that, bad things are happening, bad things are happening. So one of the ways of looking at certain events and certain situations is to look at it in a way where you say, okay, this has happened. What is the cause of this? Aeroplane fell down, so there'll be analysis. You take out the black box, you listen to the recording. Why did that happen, right? Or you operated on somebody, patient died. 10 doctors will sit and they will analyze, right? Or the Titanic was as a boat, as a ship that would never sink. Even God cannot sink the ship, is what they said, right? And then soon enough, it drowned. It sank. Like that. So one way to look at it is to look at the cause, why certain things are happening, right? And the other way of looking at it is to look at the result of that happening. It's very, very important. What is going to be the result of what is happening to me now? Right? I lost all my money in lottery. One way to do is, why is this happening to me? Who did I offend? Is it the first time that somebody cheated me of money? Why is this happening to me? Somebody cheated me. Is it I cheated him in the past birth? Or is it really the first time he's cheating me? And I'll have a chance to cheat him back again. That is the cause and the effect way of looking at the things. Second way of looking at this is, now I'm deprived of my Lakshmi. What is going to come out of this situation that I'm there? What improvement is going to happen in my life because of going through this difficult situation in my life? Maybe I'll become very careful about my money. Maybe I will plan my budget properly. Maybe I will go and take some extra classes so that I can learn some money more. There's so many ways in which you can look at a disaster that comes as the cause, and will be like, what did I do? And the result, which is, what does Kṛṣṇa have in store for me? And that is Kṛṣṇa consciousness. When you are seeing Kṛṣṇa in everything, it becomes difficult sometimes to digest things. And we have to be really strong, yoga rudha. Even in bhakti yoga, we have to be, yoga rudha at that higher level of bhakti, to say, like this minister of the king who said everything is fine. And he was constantly seeing Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa's hand in everything, like that. Okay. So on that note, I will stop and open up for any questions, any comments, any realizations like that you have.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. May I say something?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Mataji, we are very lucky and very fortunate to be in Krishna consciousness, that we are studying the Shastras and realizing them and feeling that we can spend our time really worthfully thinking of Krishna all the time.
Very well said.
Very lucky.
Yeah,
Very
we are very
fortunate.
fortunate. We're very fortunate. But I feel like I can decide my own life story, that when my mom passed away 25 years ago, I was at her deathbed and she had gone into coma, and all that I knew from what I heard and from others was that the soul can still listen even if the body is in coma. So I said, okay, let me recite the Bhagavad-gita. That was the first time I picked the Bhagavad-gita in my hand. We were from UP, so it was from Gita Press, Gorakhpur. It was written in Hindi, Sanskrit and Hindi. And I read and recited the entire 18 chapters of Bhagavad-gita to her before she passed away. But I did not understand a single word. Not a single word stuck into my consciousness from there, right? It was just that, it was a mechanical thing that I did. I mean, of course, the vibrations are powerful. She heard them on whatever, they would have had that effect. But, they didn't have any effect on me, or maybe they had. So externally, they didn't seem to have. Till 9 years later, I came across Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gita. And in 1 week, it completely turned my life, completely. So yes, and especially Srila Prabhupada's Disappearance Day was celebrated yesterday. So we should just, be and pause in our thoughts and be so very grateful for Srila Prabhupada to have translated his books into English language. And how painstakingly he did, getting up at 2 o'clock in the night, typing away with one finger on typewriters. His manuscripts were stolen. His wife once, his typewriter was stolen. His wife sold away the manuscripts, and so on and so forth. There were so many things that came in his life, obstacles, but he still stuck. And even till the last days of his life, he was dictating and translating the books that were there, because he had such strong faith in the literature and the teachings and just the vibrations of those books that can have in the lives of people, that he did that. So yes, definitely we should, offer our deepest and the humblest obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, that we are indeed very fortunate. So thank you, Varshana Mataji, for pointing that out.
The best part is, people feel when I go to America, what will I do? Poor thing, my husband is really feeling bad. There is nothing to do. I have the same life what I had in India, same life I'm having here. So there is no problem. In fact, my workload has increased because I have to do the kitchen work also.
Yeah, time for you to find a temple nearby, so that some of the kitchen work will get reduced.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. It is not very far. One center is opened, which is not very far. It is near Patel Brothers, they said. But I still have to go there and see how things are.
You move already here, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Where?
I'm in Atlanta, Mataji.
We're in Atlanta. Atlanta temple is there, no?
Very far from my house, Mataji. That temple is very far.
Yeah. There's a verse in from the 6th canto of Bhagavad-gita, of Srimad Bhagavatam, where it says, Vasudeva parasarve na kutaschina bhivyati swarg apavarga narkeshu api tulyartha darshina. So one who's a devotee of the Lord is not afraid of anything, but because to a devotee of the Lord, Swarg and Narak are the same. So, India and America are the same, because everywhere they go, all that is saying, Mana janmani ishware bhavtat bhakti ahetuki toy. That's all that I want. So this is, Varshana Mataji, you're living that life, to know that that's what you're doing. And that's what devotees do. I mean, sometimes I come and see, like I have moved from St. Louis. First thing, I was searching to see where is ISKCON here. And then they come to the temple. That's what devotees do. Like bees, they will go after honey.
And thanks to Zoom, we don't feel that we are alone.
That is true.
I feel so comfortable, Mataji, from morning till morning 6:30
Yeah.
till night like this, 9 o'clock like that. I will
Yeah.
be busy with these classes. I go to one class and jumping to another class and then like that. My time goes, and then in between I have to chant, and my time will be, that's full for me. I'm happy.
It's a life well spent. It's a life well spent, right? As Guru Maharaj says that 5 years later, you'll be 5 years older anyway.
I know.
So just see what you can do in these 5 years.
What we can do.
Very important. Yeah.
Thank
Good
you,
association.
Mataji. It's a nice class and I need to leave.
Yeah.
Just wanted it to be a little
Nice association we have, devotee association. That is the main thing. I always thanks to Kṛṣṇa and Kṛṣṇa Association,
right.
Prabhupada ji.
Yes, and one of the things I also wanted to point out when we were doing the Bhagavad-gita, and this thing suddenly came to my mind. And I was talking about when we are reciting together, we are in the association of devotees, we are reciting the prayers together, and we should take care of ones who are slower in pace. I remember Raseshwari Mataji from our temple. She, her husband is from Mathura. So they and the in-law, from there they went to Vrindavan when Vaisheshika Prabhu was there during Kartik or Kartik probably. And so they said, we want to go on parikrama. And so Guru Maharaj said, okay, come there at such and such a time. So they all reached there. And then they started walking with Guru Maharaj. And you can imagine. Guru Maharaj walking. And then they're walking. And she was like, oh my goodness, he walks so fast, so fast, so fast. We couldn't even catch up with him. And then he said that we were going slogging little. And then lo and behold, at one point we reached and he was waiting for us. And then he would again start walking and then we fall behind. And then after some time, like he was waiting for us. He said that way, he waited. He made sure that we did the parikrama. So that's the way on, when we are in devotee association, somebody's slow, somebody needs any help, somebody needs some encouragement, you do it, right? After all, after we read all these scriptures, and why do they say that, you don't need jnana and you need bhakti? Why do they say that? Because after getting all the jnana, you will learn that what you have to do is to serve others. So bhakti does that in the first place, right? So that's why Prabhupada, jnana. We're not saying that you should not get any jnana. You should definitely get that, but that should not be your aim of life. After learning everything from Bhagavad-gita, what do we learn? That I have to be good to people. I have to be careful about people. I don't have to tell lies. And then I also have to do devotional service to Kṛṣṇa, like that, right? And so
did my daughter talk to you, Mataji, about parikrama or something? I wanted to go. She says, they won't take you because you have stunted this and that. And I told Shraddha Mataji.
Okay. I just wanted to sensitize you that we are on Facebook and YouTube. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So
back to Kṛṣṇa conscious talk.
No, parikrama, what I'm saying.
Yeah. So Vaisheshika Prabhu stopped and then he, he took care of them. Very good care. And then, she said that we had a lot of sore, so their feet were sore from walking doing the whole parikrama. And then somewhere and this is like 10, 12 years ago, I'm telling you that somewhere she also said that there is some some cream, that you get in Vrindavan. He said, okay, you put this. And she said, she put it in the night and she said, I was so surprised that the next day, there was not a single blister on my feet. It was as if nothing happened to them. And that's when I was thinking about Mahabharata, when we saw the Mahabharata serial, they used to show, right? All these people used to fight. And then in the night, they would put sneh-lep. Remember the word sneh-lep? They would put on their bruises and all that. And I was just thinking it must be that kind of a, medicine that they had. And I don't know, in one yuga itself, there's so much of deterioration. We don't even know that any longer. People in Vrindavan will know.
I want to go. I don't know.
There is of course we know it, but there's a very nice saying with Kṛṣṇa in the background that says that those who leave everything in Kṛṣṇa's hands will eventually see Kṛṣṇa's hand in everything. So
that is so true. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nicely said. Yeah. We leave everything, but we don't do it. Ahankara vimūಢātmā. Maya comes, and that's why Prabhupada was warning us, Maya will come in the form of so many things. There's a story in Srimad Bhagavatam of Rishi Shringa. Rishi Shringa was this boy, And his father, he was born with, horns of a deer. His mother was a deer and half human, that kind of stuff. Anyway, so the father completely kept in seclusion with no female companion. He did not even know females. He growing up in an ashram in the jungles. And then in parallel, there was a king who had a famine and they wanted to do some yag. They did some yag, though no water came. And then people consulted and they said, like if that Rishi Shringa comes, and participates in this yagya with a wife, then you will get water. And then the king, his people scheme and plan and they go there. So they take some prostitutes there with them. And the prostitutes are there and this man comes there and he sings and they have got hair and they tie the hair on the top like Rishi, the Rishi boys. And she's looking at them and they are prostitutes. So they really know how to lure people. They talk to him very nicely and, gestures and postures and all that stuff. And so he starts getting attracted to them and he's thinking they are boys. And then they go away and the whole night he thinks about it. And when the father comes back and looks at his face, he says, oh, now I know. Somehow some woman has touched him. He has come in touch with the women. And then to cut a long story short, prostitutes ultimately take him to the palace and he gets married and then, the family is gone and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm just saying is that in today's purport also, Prabhupada is calling out that Maya will entangle you into your, into material life like nobody's business, right? So even Rishi Shringa, who had never seen a man, so yuvati nam yatha yuni, yunam cha yuvato yatha, it happens naturally. So this is how complicated this material world is. You touch it and then you are it. Now you have to live with it all the time. Yeah. So I'm just watchful of the time, 7:28. Maybe I should take your leave and allow you to attend to other chores and me too. Thank you so much for joining the call and such enthusiastic participation. Those of you watching us here on Facebook, as well as those of you on YouTube and here inside the Zoom. Thank you so much, Madhajis, for fantastic association, especially during this month of Kartik. Kripa Sindhu Patitanam
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Shraddha Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Very nice.
Thank you, Mataji. After 2-3 classes.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.